I'm an amputee and I feel depressed today. You see, I chose amputation believing it would result in a better quality of life. For me, it was a pretty clear choice. Structurally, my left foot was not functional, then add on problems with the nerves like an incurable disease, and it felt like I didn't have much to lose. I remember picturing myself reclaiming my life, albeit with the help of a prosthesis. See, I couldn't walk with my actual foot, but I assumed I'd be able to on a prosthetic foot. And I was right. Sort of. Since amputation, the problem hasn't been so much this side as this side. I'm noticing a recurring pattern where I'll start taking back my life only to have something go wrong with my remaining leg. At first, it was stress fractures. Then my right leg got an incurable disease called CRPS. But thanks to an amazing doctor and some cutting-edge treatment, I've been symptom-free for the past year. And I even got insurance to cover a prosthetic socket. I was starting to increase my activity levels, and now my foot is hurt. Again. For several months, I've had a sharp pain in my foot that's been steadily getting worse. And no, it doesn't seem like it's CRPS. At first, we thought it was the soft tissue. That year I spent battling CRPS in this foot had consequences. Not being able to use the foot and having it immobilized so long can cause muscles to atrophy and everything to tighten up and get painful. My physical therapist has been working hard on the plantar fascia and other problem areas. And yet, despite treatment, the pain has been steadily getting worse. My doctor and I were keeping an eye on things and had decided to give my foot a few weeks of trying something new in PT, but right before Christmas, the pain spiked. A few days later, I started limping pretty badly. After an x-ray, we suspect a couple joints are causing the pain, though we need more information. I've been grounded. I'm not supposed to walk until we get an MRI and figure out exactly what's going on. But that's not all. The day after Christmas, I wrenched my arm. I can't pinpoint the exact moment I injured it. I was just doing things around the house and taking care of my kids. Then my arm started hurting. And then it didn't want to move normally. Raising or extending my right arm is a no-go, and yes, I'm right-handed. Thankfully, it turned out not to be a serious injury. I just need to stop using this arm for a couple weeks while it heals. If you've been keeping count, I have 4 limbs. Technically 3.5, but I'm rounding up. And of those 4 limbs, 1 arm is out of commission, 1 foot is grounded, and the other foot is missing in action. The only fully functional limb remaining is my left hand. That's a 25% success rate, which is a solid F. Can you see why I'm a little discouraged? For those of you with more than 1 functional limb, allow me to paint a mental image. Let's say you have 3 kids. That's 12 limbs versus 1, and they're all home for the holidays. Even simple things like getting my 5-year-old a cup of water are suddenly difficult. Cups go in the cupboard, but I can't reach up there with my arm, and I can't stand up on my foot. The cups are right there, but I can't get to them. It's a case of so close, but so far away, and that's just getting a drink. Things like making food or keeping the house from turning into a demolition zone are even harder. I assume that people missing multiple limbs set up their living space to maximize function. But my house isn't set up for having only 1 functional limb. It's set up for being a leg amputee, so my setup doesn't match my new reality. Without the right adaptations in place, I've needed to ask for a lot more help than usual. And I find that depressing, not because I have anything against getting help when needed, but because I enjoy doing things for myself, and now the number of things I can do has been drastically scaled back. I just want to live my life. I had so many goals and ideas I was excited about when I filmed my New Year's resolution video. And now it feels like everything went up in a puff of smoke before I could even get started. And yes, I know that my arm shouldn't take long to heal. 2 weeks is not forever. And I do have doctors working on figuring out what's going on with my foot. And I do have all year to work on my goals. Theoretically, life should go on. But tell that to my emotions. It just feels like every time I start to reclaim my life, I get knocked down. Do you ever feel that way? I think the truly depressing thing is I chose to have my foot amputated, believing it would give me a better life. So when things get worse instead of better, and I feel even more disabled than I did before, it's really hard on morale. I've fought so hard to get where I am, but when I can't walk, I immediately start to lose strength, flexibility, and endurance in my muscles. Months of hard work can get quickly wiped out. I suspect this is one major cause of depression in amputees. I mean, grief and loss are also big factors. But I think we unconsciously set expectations, then get discouraged when they don't become realities. If you chose to amputate, then you probably did so because you expected life as an amputee to be better than the alternative. So when life doesn't improve, the hits feel harder than they otherwise would. Before amputation, I think I unconsciously pictured myself as being nearly back to normal once I had a prosthesis. That hasn't been the case for me. I'm starting to suspect that very few amputees actually achieve that pseudo-normal life. And yet, we seem to think they do. When we see other amputees out in public or online, it's so easy to think they're doing better than we are. So we start to wonder, what's wrong with us? We expect the same outcome, even though we're completely different people with different situations. And honestly, as much as we like to think we see the whole picture, we can't. We can't see how other people are really doing when nobody's watching. I suspect most of us are struggling to some degree most of the time. Today I had a bit of a reality check. Amputees are statistically more likely to have other medical problems. I mean, it makes sense that something as major as amputation will either cause or correlate with other challenges. This means that even after I get past my current drama, someday there will be another one. This isn't the first time I've been knocked down, and it won't be my last. It's time that I adjusted my expectations. Somehow it helped me to acknowledge that my life isn't over. It's just overly dramatic. And recalibrating my expectations doesn't mean I'm giving up. If anything, I think it'll make me more resilient if I accept the fact that my life is going to have periodic setbacks. That way, when a new one comes, instead of feeling blindsided, I can face it. My hope is that by the time I'm 90, I will have turned into one tough old lady, someone who can look discouragement in the eye and keep going. I don't know what's wrong with my foot or how this is going to play out. Maybe it's serious, maybe it isn't. But remembering who I want to be at the end of my life helps me get through the hard moments. If you have tricks that help you, I'd love to hear them in the comments. And sorry if this video is a bit of a downer, but I think it's important to be authentic. I can't do everything all the time, but I can be patient with myself and hold on to the conviction that life is still beautiful, even when it's far from perfect. I'm Stefanina. Thank you for joining me on my amputee adventures. If you'd like more videos on this topic, I've got a playlist. And whatever you're going through, hang in there. Oh, and I just remembered I have a really funny video about when I broke both hands. Yeah, that doesn't sound funny, but it actually is a pretty silly story. You should watch it.